record. All right, we welcome the next segment in the Cavalcade of Authors Readers Appreciation Weekend. So we just went from heaven. We about to take y'all through a little bit of hell. Because let me tell you, this woman right here, let me show you a little bit about what has interested me in her work. These two covers are just dynamic. Let me show you. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but the host for this one is Shakir. Rashaan is a national best-selling author. The first one that interested me was Sincerious. And then one day she posted the reimagining of A Blood Slave. And I will tell you, she writes a little bit about the darkness of things, about women who are a little more unconventional. She writes the kind of things that there are some people who give her the side eye about it, but the thing about it is not only is there a market for it, but she does it and couches it in such a way that it engages you. But the covers, when I saw Sincerious, I had to ask, I think it was Simone Choi, was it safe for me to read? Because you just heard some of the things that I have been through. And my father was the one that took me, and my uncle were the ones who took me through that. But I feel that there's something in me that is called when I see your cover, Sincerious, and then the imagining of a blood slave. And I know you tackled and wrestled with that one, but I keep looking at that. That is, to me, the representation of what I was at one time. And I know it isn't that story. The storyline is a little different, but when I look at that and this woman that is swathed in this bloody cloth, and there's that eye, that was me at the beginning of my healing. This is where I was. And it's interesting that the covers that appeal to me are things that could take me possibly back to being in my brokenness. But a good story is a good story. But a damn good cover is like, man, and I want to delve into it, but I'm scared. I want to hit it, but I'm scared. And that's why I said I had to ask folks, I'm like, is it safe for me to read this one? Is it safe for me to read? And I love the fact that she can tackle these subjects. I don't know what just happened, but are you still with us? There we go.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it over because I wanted to give an intro. There's a lot of people that are watching that don't necessarily know you. So I wanted and we don't normally have people who, this is a different type of genre. I wanted them to understand why I thought it was important to bring people that don't necessarily write in the more conventional genres, that there are Black women who are writing some of everything and they have a fan following that is out of this world, and you are one of those women. So I am going to turn this over to my brother in the pen and to let him do his thing.
All right, so now she's gotten that out of the way. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We want to welcome you to the other side of Sunday, so to speak, and welcome you to Miss JanJan Untamed, excuse me. I have been able to get a chance to kind of find out a few things about you throughout, just going and doing deep dives and such as far as that is. But I wanted to, before we got into that, I wanted you to introduce yourself as well, and then we can jump right into it.
Hi, my name is JanJan Untamed, and I write graphic fiction. I don't really have a particular genre that I write in because I write a little bit of everything. Paranormal, historical is my favorite, contemporary. I just write whatever comes to me, whatever speaks to me.
Yeah, we did talk about that briefly as far as that was, and I did, that was one of the things that kind of appealed to me, because I know when I jumped into the literary scene, it was on an erotica platform, but I have since kind of jumped out into a lot of other genres as well. So what you stated on a lot of different social media pages and things of that nature spoke to me as well on that front. The one that caught me first was the debut that you had, The View from the Bottom, if I remember it correctly. Can you briefly touch on that before we jump into actually the most recent one that kind of caught a lot of people's attention, including my own?
Oh yeah, The View from the Bottom was more of my one of my more controversial novels because it was about an extramarital affair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's about this young woman, and she's from the other side of the track, so to speak. And she dabbled in a lot of things: drugs, dancing. She basically danced to pay for her drug addiction.
Mm-hmm.
But she went into retirement, and she really did try to turn her life around and go straight. But she still wasn't able to make ends meet. And what happens is she goes out on Christmas Eve. And she says, I'm going to just go out this one last time, just to put Christmas on the table, for the kids, buy gifts and whatnot. And it was on this night when she meets this unconventional guy, someone from the opposite side of the tracks from her, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah, that one was interesting because I was trying to, like I said, I was trying to kind of get a feel for you in a lot of instances, for lack of a better term. And what I noticed a lot was that you had no problems tackling a lot of controversial subjects. Your characters are much like mine. They don't follow a traditional or mainstream path, so to speak. So it was definitely fun to see that from someone else's perspective and be able to be a fan of that work. So thank you for that, for starters, at least for me as a reader. How did you end up getting into your writing path from a commercial perspective? I think I saw where you said that you had been kind of writing for a good long minute before you became commercial, but what pushed you over the edge to actually become a commercial author?
Right. I think what it was, I finally started sharing my work because, like you said, I did start young. I started writing like the third grade,
Right.
spiral books, stories about camping trips with my cousins and stuff like that. And so I wrote my whole life, all through elementary school, junior high school, college, but there was never really anyone there to well, what are you going to do with this? Why don't you do something with this? So I kind of wrote for myself. From time to time, I'd pull it out and read my own books because I was writing the stuff that I wanted to read,
Absolutely.
And until it was my husband was like, well, what are you writing for if you're not going to share it? So I published a story on Wattpad, the free website for,
Yep.
And I got 10 hardcore followers, and they were like, oh, this book is so great. You need to publish this book.
Yes.
You should do something with this book. You can't just let it sit here like this. So I went on Google and started doing some research, and I published it myself.
Good deal. Like I said, it definitely kind of pushed you on in that point. So it's just a lot that I saw in that regard. I know the one that most recently that has caught readers' attention was Fix. Tell us a little bit about that. I think that one, if I remember correctly, I think that one was interracial, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
It is. And well, The View from the Bottom is interracial also.
Yeah, I remember that.
I kind of write interracial. My husband is white, and I kind of, write couples that look like us or whatever, but
Of course.
you have to be into interracial novels at all to enjoy my books, because once you start reading the story, all that other stuff falls apart, and you're just on the journey with these people. They're just regular people. They're not white or black. They're just people.
Right.
But Fix is about a recovering drug addict, but and she meets a guy at a meeting, and he's this businessman he's a control freak, and he wants to fix everything around him. And he meets this woman, and he gets it in his mind that he wants to fix her.
Okay. That's where that comes from.
Yeah. So he, becomes her sponsor or whatnot, and it goes from there, and it kind of grows. It's a story about growth. I write stories about growth.
Mm-hmm. I guess with that growth in mind, as far as that is, where do you see your path moving forward as far as your growth as an author is concerned? I know you've only been around for maybe a little less than 5 years, give or take, but I see you trending. So I'm trying to figure out exactly where you're going next.
Well, I started off writing screenplays.
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't think of them as books. They were plays, to be acted out by me and my friends and stuff.
Absolutely.
But yeah, they kind of turned into novels, and hopefully, keep my fingers crossed. I tell people Netflix is going to call.
Hey, we all say that, and I got no issues with it. When they call you, let me know.
Netflix is going to call. They're going to want to do the Doomsday Papers or something. That was my my science fiction novel about a virus I wrote a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I read a little bit of everything. I wrote a medieval novel called The Butcher of Beaumont, and it's about the church.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that one too. Tell us more about that one, because I know there are some historicals, and there are some those that do love that particular time period.
Right. Well, it's a medieval novel, kind of. It's fantasy, so but there is truth woven within it, and it's basically about Christianity, kind of, and
Mm-hmm.
the Crusades, almost, when they, back when they killed everything that wasn't Christian and white, Christian
Agreed.
and white,
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All
And
right. Now I know there were I'm trying to remember what other things we had going on as far as that was. Honestly, there's really not much that needs to, that I think we can roll with at this point. I know I asked you whether or not you had anything that you wanted to bring up. There was a work in progress that you said you were bringing up at this point. So I definitely wanted to let the readers get a piece of what you've got coming.
Okay. And you want me to read my excerpt?
Absolutely. I
Okay.
give you
And
the floor, ma'am.
I'm nervous. Keep in mind, I'm nervous, and
We
I'm one of
got
those
you.
people who didn't like to read out loud in class.
Completely understood, man. We've got you. No problem.
Okay. Well, this novel it's a historical novel called Dirty White Boy.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, and it's I'm just going to read it. I'm what folks around here call slow. The word's been whispered behind my back since I was old enough to recognize it. Folks enjoy whispering about me while watching me out of the corner of their eyes. They've been watching me sideways since before I was born. My mama isn't a whore or a drinker like Mildred and Caroline's mama. Their mama drank when she was carrying them and ruined them both. They were born drunk and it turned their minds to mush. I was born quiet is all. I don't slobber like Thelma's boy or shit myself like Carolyn, but I'm not quite right either. I've never uttered a word or made a noise that wasn't a grumble in my stomach or didn't come out of my ass. The doctor told Mama I was retarded and she should put me in an isolum. Mama thanked him for coming and showed him the door. Mama knew something was wrong with me when I didn't cry after I was born. It scared her. How was she supposed to know if something was wrong with their little baby if I never cried? When I was small, she would cry when she thought I was sleeping. I know Mama blames herself for whatever's wrong with me. Other folks whisper it too. They pity Mama for being my mama. Tongues loosen around me because they think I don't understand what they're saying. Maybe it's my daddy's fault for being a piece of shit. Maybe it isn't, but life's too short to go beating up on myself or hating my mama for something that can't be changed. I'm not wasting time like that when I have better things to worry about. I think differently from other folks. My mind wanders and never settles on one thing. Miss Thelma says a wandering mind isn't natural. You can't run a house when you don't have it in your head to do so. What she said is true. This wandering head of mine would rather be walking in the woods, collecting wildflowers to brighten the table than washing it. I enjoy finding a nice soft place to hide and lose myself in a good book. I can lay in the same spot reading all day. I've been bashed in the face more times than many when I fell asleep with a book in my hands. Nothing ruins a nap like the spine of Don Quixote hitting you in the eye. There was an uproar the first time I came home with a black eye. Folks got it in their heads that I'd been jumped, and they formed a mob, all except Mrs. Walker, my tutor. She looked at me sideways and said, "You fell asleep reading again, didn't you? When you're having your lessons. It serves you right, Miss Thursday, Dorothea." Most folks are convinced that I like books for the pictures because most of them can't read themselves, but they pat my head and walk past me when I'm captivated by some adventure. I wave their hands away and keep reading. I don't read all the time. I prefer to be on the move, seeing and learning with my hands. On Saturdays, I sit outside the church when the choir is practicing, except when they let Mrs. Leah lead a song. I'd rather listen to cats fucking than hear her wailing for Jesus. On the days when Miss Leah leads a song, I make my way to the catfish pond. The croaks from the bullfrogs and chirping of the crickets are nature's choir. From time to time, a fat catfish splashes lazily to show off for the smaller ones. I enjoy leaning in a patch of shaded grass, staring up at a cloudy sky. Some days I see faces and animals. On the cloudless days, I pretend to see that I'm falling into it. What's so slow about that? I don't shit my pants and screech all day, but folks treat me like I do. I'm smart enough for them to pay me a dime to keep an eye on the children and extra to cook when the mothers are running late. I'm smart enough to mend fancy dresses and run to the store for a nickel. I'm smart enough for the men to want to fuck me, but I'm not smart enough to keep my own house. Folks might wonder what slow people think about. I think about lots of things. I think about what we're having for dinner. I think about how perfect my mama is for her to be so unhappy. That part makes me sad. I think of ways that I can make her life easier. I hope that every quarter, nickel, or 50-cent piece that I add to her savings takes away from some of the weight that Carrie in me puts on her back. I behave the way she expects me to, and I make sure she has fresh flowers in her vases. They aren't much, but she notices and thanks me. As I walk past a window and I hear a woman screaming from inside, I think about how Mr. Benton gets drunk and beats his wife and kids every night. I'm wondering if today is the day when he finally kills one of them. I think about stubborn Miss Walker. I wonder why she won't leave me be. The woman is always trying to teach me something new. Hasn't she taught me enough? Won't she understand that I don't want to learn everything she knows? I already know what I need to know. The French lessons and etiquette classes were a waste. When will I ever speak French? I need to know a drinking glass from a wine glass when you can drink either one out of both. It seems silly to have so many things with one use. As I walk past the people fucking in the hallway, I think about my friend Margot and her thing for rich men. It isn't right, I tell her. We need husbands. Margot has her mind made up that a rich man will change your life. It seems to me like nothing changes except her draws after they leave. I'm never in any hurry to get anywhere. In fact, I tend to show up when I feel like it. No one gets on me for being late to weddings or not showing up for birthday parties because I'm slow. Between us, I do whatever I want and no one ever says a thing. They smile and pat my hand. God help the fool who says anything against me. There'll be a room full of folks ready to fight for me. Bet not nobody say nothing bad about our sweets. My tongue doesn't work like other folks, so I don't know what their normal feels like. I don't feel like I'm missing anything in my life until I get angry and want to scream at someone. I have a good room, a good mama, and good folks around me who treat me like a baby. The only three who don't treat me special are Margot, Mama, and Mrs. Walker. Grammy blames my daddy's bad blood for making me the way I am. She calls me a curse as I'm changing her pissy clothes. Grammy tells me that I have the devil in me. Mrs. Walker said that I have the devil in me because Grammy is the devil and I'm her kin. That damn near tickled me to death. The Reverend Charles started in on me when I was young. He tried to cast the spirit out of me when I was a baby. He's commanded the devil to unbind this child's tongue and loosen her sweet voice 100 times in my lifetime. I was saved, but my sweet voice was never unbound. Being saved didn't make me want to sit on that hard pew all day or scrub pots for 100 people after church dinner. I do enough dishwashing for the Dearborns. When I'm sitting on the pew with Grammy and Mama, I watch the Reverend for signs. He likes calling me up front to beg for a miracle. The Reverend looks at me and I look back at him. If he looks at me too many times, I get up and walk out in the middle of his sermon. Get back here, sweets, Mama hisses at me. The other people smile at me and nod their heads as I leave. The preacher keeps right on preaching and no one pays me any mind because I'm Della's girl.
Woo.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. That is, yeah. I
Yeah, I'm
have,
gonna have to take a second on that one.
yeah, that is, thank you. I've got a question I need to pop up in here. And
Absolutely.
there are women who take you to task because you write, they're expecting Black women authors to write these strong Black women, take charge women, this, that, and the other. But you write a different kind of woman. And it exposes a side that exists that nobody really wants to talk about. And I think it was this book right here. Let me show this cover. Hold on. this cover right here gave you the hardest time because you feared the backlash that would come from writing this book. You had written it, you put it aside, and
Yeah.
you admitted your vulnerability of being afraid to write it because this is not how you thought people would want to view Black women in the instance of this. But like we said, there's a market for all of this. There's a big market for dark romance, all of these different things. But when I saw this cover, this is the first time I emailed you or texted you. I saw this cover because it represents so much. How did you overcome the fear of what you thought would be the backlash from Black women or readers who read this and wrote a woman in this particular light?
Well, I'm still holding on to it. I haven't published it yet. I still have it. In this book, I went back and forth, like you said, because when I wrote it, and then I was like, you know what? People are not ready for this. They don't want to read about a Black submissive. You know, they really don't. And if you do, oh, she's weak, she's a bad witch, she's blah, 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 whatever. So, and then I went back and forth about maybe I should publish under a different name and, you know, change her race and all this stuff. I went back and forth with myself with. But, and then I just decided to keep it how it is. And I'm going to publish it eventually.
Like, you know.
Like big time hint.
You know.
Big time hint.
That's why I pulled it up. But
yeah, I get a lot of stuff. I get the whole, why does she write? She doesn't love Black women. She writes like, you know, this and that. She writes these people like I can't relate to these people. And the thing is that people have no empathy. I mean, you know, some stories are not meant to be your story. You know, they're not meant to. You're not meant to do what you would do. That's boring. Why would I write what I would do? And believe you me, if I wrote what I would do, we would be doing nothing but legal stuff, sitting around motherly shit. Okay.
There you go.
It's boring. But you know, people act like, and like I said, I mentioned before, some people act like they're better than other people. When they start putting these characters down, oh, well, why didn't she do this? She's stupid. She could have done that. What this and that. Well, just because you do things doesn't mean everyone's going to have your strength. You have to show some empathy. And I always write the underdogs, and people are going to get angry about it. But guess what? So what? There's a million people out there writing that businesswoman with the, you know, with the good family and the this and the that. Everyone deserves a love story.
You are absolutely correct.
And they are love stories. That's what I wanted to ask about the men. I mean, you're writing so we understand the women. Some of the women are submissive, and you're writing these men. Are you writing them in such a way that, is it just the story? Are you writing them where they're redeemable? They grow through this process, and we can fall in love with them, or are we gonna be at the end like, give me the dagger and I'm gonna kill him myself?
You know, like I said, I do like to write about growth. I like for the men to grow too. Like a lot of, you know, women have issues and men have issues too. They also get mad because the man has, oh, he slept with somebody that wasn't a heroine. I hate books when they sleep with other people. This is life. People don't just meet all the time and it just clicks and they're just together forever. Sometimes they have to go through some things. They have to grow.
You are right.
Wow. And I'm going to show, while I bring someone else on, they have a question for you, because I'm getting texts about you. Wow. There are people, Tribe is writing. They are loving, you know, this. And she just said something. I would love to say it, but she needs to say it because hold on, let me show this.
Those.
I love the unconventionalness of these covers, you know, and I just read something. It was in day one, I think it was. I was just looking at the back matter of it, and it said, "This is my body. These are my emotions, but I willingly put it all into his care because he is worthy." Somewhere, a poor woman is crying over a lover who didn't come home tonight. Another is crying over a man that she gave herself to and he never called again. There is someone out there secretly hurting and yearning to be loved by someone they have never met before. I am yours, I whisper. My skin and bones feel cold when Kaya stands, taking away his touch. He lifts me to my feet, holding me against him for a moment more when he feels the same chill. We are in a trance that lasts long enough to rattle the universe. I squeeze him tighter. He loves me harder. I love you. I can't pronounce this, but I'm gonna try. Kia Basai. I don't care if I sound whiny or what lonely, judgmental women call weak. My life would be unbearable without you. I never want to be away from you. Evie. He speaks my name from his heart. Do you know how often I dreamed of you loving me the way I love you? Ah,
Oh,
that's
love
that's
that story. I love that book. I love that whole book. I love them all, though. What can I say? I love them all.
yes. I'm
That
going to
was
bring on. Go
a
ahead.
novel. Yeah.
Sorry, say that again.
No, I was going to say that Day One is a science fiction novel about a Black scientist for anyone who's interested. It's a great book.
Absolutely.
She's a brilliant scientist.
Good deal.
Indeed. We've got Florenza Lee. She's a tribe member. I'm going to ask her to unmute.
I think I did.
Okay. Yes. To ask
Hello. Yes.
what you just wrote to me.
Oh, a lot. I was blowing your phone up. I'm so sorry.
You and Lisa and Deanna. I mean, all of y'all. JL Camp. Wow. Okay. Indeed.
So, two things. First, I was questioning what was the time period for what you read, but I wanted to caveat that by saying that there really truly is a power that's found in submission. And it took me a few minutes to find a quote that I had read a long time ago, and I don't know who wrote it, but it says that when a man truly loves a woman, she becomes his weakness. When a woman truly loves a man, he becomes her strength. This is called the exchange of power.
Right.
In your writings, are you writing from your own personal stance in how you practice submission, or are you writing from the perspective of this is what you're called to write?
More so because, like she mentioned, a strong Black woman who handles everything on her own, is always strong for everybody else. That's me. You know, that's me. Like, and for those of us who are that go-to person all the time, there's not very often that we get to be vulnerable. In
Right.
fact, we never get to be vulnerable. Yeah, but when we're alone, you know, we're alone and we just finally get to that point and we're crying to ourselves, then we get to be vulnerable. But I think that's why I enjoy writing vulnerable women. For the women who are, I think, like you said, you have to be strong to be, it takes strength to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for your obedience to the stories that come to you, to give them life and to reach the people who they represent. And I applaud you for saying that, you know, there are a million stories out there of this powerful Black woman, and not all of them are written in reality. And so we have a lot of women who read those stories, and then what we end up doing is making them more um, injured because they don't meet up to that image. And you're writing from a place in which hopefully if a person does find themselves there, just like you said, that they can find growth as well. So I applaud you and thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, so we can go ahead and wrap this up. Ma'am, you can go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, if it's on social media, if it's away from social media, everything that you can put up. And then, of course, you can put it in the links in the chats as well.
Yep, I'm JanJan Untamed on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can also, I have a website, janjanuntamed.com. And I look forward to hearing from new readers.
Good deal.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for definitely allowing me to host with you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, and thanks again. We'll do some other things and we'll invite you too. You scared me a little bit because I was like, it was like throwing in the wind. I'm like, did she decide to, you know? So I'm glad you came. And I said, I put Shakir on. Shakir, go get her. Go get her. He's like, I'm on it. I'm like, okay. So I'm glad because you know, we needed to explore. Your covers are what intrigued me, you know, and the concept. And I'm on your page. So that day that you were vulnerable with your readers about, you know, the back and forth about the reimagining of a blood slave, that cover for itself is like, whoa.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop looking at it because it appealed to something within me. You know, the
It-
broken, like I said, the brokenness, the broken parts of me.
yeah, I expect the torches and the pitchforks with this one. They're gonna come.
Oh, that's
They're
perfectly
coming.
fine. Look, let them bring the smoke. I've been writing about Black submissive women for 10 years, so it ain't no biggie. Trust me on this.
Indeed, indeed. Somebody said the world needs more stories that call upon empathy and love
Mhm.
your covers. Lisa Dotson, powerful. Love the covers too. And then Victoria Kennedy, she's a former tribe member. She says, Amen. Everyone deserves a love story. And Charlotte Morris, there are millions of stories to be told. Tell yours, sis. You know, that, and they loved your reading. So I'm glad you got to interact with the tribe
Thank you.
today. Yes, indeed.
Thank
And we will
you.
be in touch. So now
Okay.
you kind of
Absolutely.
know me on the outskirts. So now, you know, get a
We
feel
can.
like real
Oh,
people.
we homies now. We homies.
All right, whole slice. All right. Thank you so very much. I'm gonna drop you in the backyard. And
Bye.
okay, I'm gonna drop you in the backyard. Put your links and your purchase links in the chat
Mhm.
so
Okay.
everybody can do that. Okay. Thank you
Okay.
again. Okay. Now we are on the last segment. I'm going to bring on more of the tribe. This is the time we get to read a little bit and give you a taste of the tribe. And the games happen tomorrow night is Monday. There's no games tonight. We're giving everybody a little
Mhm.
early out. So let me make sure that I did stop this